This is our 18th symposium. I'm Jim Heath, by the way. I'm the president of the ISB. And this year we're talking about I think all of our symposium to some extent talk about the future of health, but we wanted to stress concept to clinic or translational medicine or, you know, benchtop to bedside, whatever the word is that you want to put out there. And this is, you know, how to do translational medicine effectively has been a, it's really been an area that's in the state of becoming, basically, for a long time. And, you know, I think our ivory tower institutions largely, and where I spent most of my career, you know, were a little slow in embracing translational medicine. And at Caltech, where I was, there was always some sort of undercurrent that it wasn't fundamental science, which I think is just ridiculous. I think some of the most hardest problems in fundamental science are translation. They just involve a patient. And they involve lots and lots of pieces that have to come together to make something happen. And so if you think about what translational medicine looks like, or concept to clinic, for sure you need, you know, basic research, and that's going to be chemists, biologists, engineers, what have you. It's going to be people at the university that do tech transfer. It's going to be engaged federal agencies that support translation. It's going to be philanthropy. You have to have a very strong engagement from an educated patient community, which oftentimes involves patient advocates, involves healthcare providers. You need physician scientists, you need entrepreneurs, investors, and for the best of the ideas that are coming out, you need, you know, really as high a level of creativity on the business development side as you do on the scientific side, because you're creating something that doesn't exist. And this is not a, there's no handoff here in this game. And I think it's really this picture that has made the challenge of translational medicine an evolving picture that, you know, any given institute may have been slow to embrace, because no given institute actually has all these pieces. But if you think about a modern piece of biotechnology, you know, you can't really go there without a high level of information technology, computer science, fundamental biology. You know, some of the fields that we will hear about today, such as immunology, are advancing at such a rapid pace that if you look at the literature even 1 or 2 years ago, you're going to be outdated in terms of what you can actually act upon in a therapeutic fashion today. So at the ISB, I think several of you probably know the ISB, but we probably have a lot of new people here. So, you know, we're sort of an institute that is designed to do large-scale translational projects, and largely that's because a couple years ago we partnered with Providence St. Joseph's Health, which is, I think, along with Kaiser, probably the dominant healthcare system on the West Coast, up through Alaska. And it even involves some places like Texas for. And so we have, you know, a lot of projects, and I just list a few: Lyme disease, sepsis. There's a proactive cancer therapies, brain health. We're actually later this year we're actually opening up our own clinic here in town, and all of these involve some scientific leadership from here, but also involve really in-depth clinical leadership and translational efforts and engage patients and patient groups, et cetera. You know, for example, the Lyme disease project, which we're almost taking over the island of Nantucket starting sometime this summer because it's an epidemic there. You could never ever do that without complete engagement of that community and complete education of that community, not just getting the science right, it's getting the education and the physician engagement right. And if you look at another project to give you a feeling for what has to come together, so this is sepsis, and Sepsis is, I think compared to the sort of high tech of oncology, is more of a fruit fly of disease in that it evolves very rapidly compared to oncology, but also the technology that comes into sepsis is a little bit lower. In fact, it's substantially lower. But it's a massive cost in our hospitals. And everything you can do to detect sepsis evolving in a patient, whether it's a half a day prior, 3 days prior, to even patient stratification for risk a month or a year prior, has a really, really significant savings on the healthcare system, and it involves high-tech molecular diagnostics, because you're going to get everything out of basically a blood biopsy for sepsis, whether it's looking at immune cells or mRNAs that are shed by the lymph system or what have you. The physician record. The electronic health record is important. It turns out when a physician walks in and a patient is in danger of sepsis, oftentimes by that time their health record is a phone book thick, and that needs to be condensed into a way that's readily digestible. And so this project, which we're doing with many physicians, and it's actually being, they came to us from the Providence system, involves bringing together virtually everything you can think of to solve this problem, from high-end information technology to just fundamental biology. And it's one of these things that makes translational science a challenge to do, but it also makes it a lot of fun. And so this is our speaker lineup, and without, if you just look at the list of speakers, you might think, wow, this is kind of a little bit all over the map. And it's a bit all over the map exactly because you need all of these different components to come together to do effective translation. And so we're going to hear from people that are we're going to hear a lot about cell-based therapies. One of the most exciting new things in biotech is the use of cells, whether it's stem cells or whether it's engineered T cells or what have you. I think people here are familiar with Juno, which came out of this part of the world. We're going to hear about novel therapies that actually emerged out of imaging modalities. And this is a PET imaging. We're going to hear about information technology and its importance in medicine. We're going to hear about how those various pieces come together to address issues in global health. We're going to hear from some of the experience in the agencies that support this kind of work. We're going to hear about what's called precision medicine, where one tries to identify the right patient with the right drug and whatever that entails. And then we're going to hear about how some of this plays out on the biotech industry side. And these speakers are all going to wear some hat from part of this, but almost all the speakers, if we had addressed them 5 years ago, might be wearing a different hat on a different part of this thing, because really one needs to be able to coordinate across these various needs of translational medicine to understand how to do it effectively. And we're going to hear from some very, very highly effective people at this meeting. I think it's going to be a fantastic meeting. I want to make sure I thank our sponsors, some of whom represent the very type of biotech that comes out of a basic concept and is now emerging into the marketplace. Some of them I have some responsibility for, and some of them are local industries. Just Bio shares this very same building. So anyway, we couldn't be here without these sponsors, and I want to gratefully acknowledge them. Just a little bit on the format of this meeting. So I believe we'll give you lunch, and so we typically structure these meetings so that there will be plenty of time for questions, and there's microphones on either side that one can go and stand in line and engage. We'll also have panel discussions on some of these topics up here on stage, in which we have a more deeper engagement. Our goal here is to teach, not just to talk at you. and so we won the opportunity to teach. And then this evening, or late this afternoon, there's a poster session and wine and beer and things like that, with food, more food. And I can't promise that the food ever gets healthy. I actually don't know if it does or not, but my guess is it doesn't, but I can't remember.